and Dave, and I brought him cornbread.
And we're live, by the way, folks. So you're getting in on the inside conversation.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about Marcia and
Yeah.
Big Al and yeah. So anyway, hello everybody. How y'all doing? Hello, Miss Trina. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, Wayne, and how are you?
Oh, any better, I'd be guilty. But then again, I was never that innocent to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Started the vibe out with a little sade. I was like,
yeah,
oh.
we were, man. We were jamming to Sade. I mean, that woman, I tell you, I was living in right outside Buckhead in Georgia, in Atlanta, and saw her. I mean, the woman is just, man, she's got it.
Oh, she
There we
does.
go.
There's a sound. She's got a sound unlike any other.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Hey, everyone. Thank you, moderators, everyone in the chat room. We just invoke and speak favor over everybody. And thank you for being part of the journey. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Be a part of your life. So, we got a full house, Miss Trina.
Hi, everyone.
Nina the Mystic will be on Friday, I believe. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
And I want to get Marcia Price on. Try to get her on next Wednesdays or next Friday. So yeah,
She's such a beautiful soul. She just sent me a present.
well, she is a giver of a giver. I'll tell you. Hello,
really
Lucky
is.
Stone. How are you doing?
And her products are amazing because I've ordered pyramids and stuff from her because they are the most beautiful ones I've ever seen.
They work.
They're beautiful. Yeah.
They work. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just hands down. I just got to tell you, they work.
Yeah, they do work and they're beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
many of them work and they're not as attractive. So hers are really pretty. They're beautiful.
Those what is it? The rods of Ra? What am I? Horse?
Yeah,
What
rods of Horus, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, one of the two. Well, whatever it is, I can tell you, it works. It works.
I'm getting me a set. That's what she's bringing me.
Oh, excellent!
I am so excited. I'm
is
like,
that by?
I
Is
cannot
that
wait.
via by Big Al?
Yeah, yeah. She sent them with the boys, and they're gonna bring them by. I was like, oh wow, oh this is awesome, because I'm an energy worker, so those kind of products are like for me.
It would reason to be in your tool chest. I mean,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, and
I can't wait to meet my new friends. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great.
I like that. That can bring up all sorts of ideas, but
Yes.
so cool, so cool. Yeah, and I tell you, Marcia, you do have a talent, and there's a lot of talented people in here. I have to just say, just absolutely fantastic. Hello, Spirit Girl from San Francisco. Yeah. Every time I hear that, I think of two songs, Tony Bennett, #1, and what is the other? Roger McKenna, if you're going to San Francisco.
Such a great song.
Yeah. And I was fortunate. I had some pretty hip aunts and uncles, and Uncle Bud and Aunt Dot, they were just cool. They were hippies in a sense, but straight. And I remember going down to Berkeley in Candlestick Park, where all the flower children were at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that was awesome.
It was really cool,
I bet it was. The vibe must have been off the hook.
There was of all people that was playing down there, I have to recall exactly, as I'm replaying this in my head, and I'll think of the guy's name, Lou Reed, and just like doing an acoustic thing. But yeah, it was cool. Yeah,
I bet.
So how's everything in your world, my dear?
Oh, everything has been crazy. We've had all this craziness with the riots and all this stuff, but Arizona's doing pretty good. We haven't had too much going on in it, and I didn't hear about too much last night, so that's good. So
actually, last night, I don't know about in Phoenix, but across the country, it was worse. This is not about racism, as you and I were talking. This is about police brutality. Yeah. Color's got nothing to do with it.
No.
But boy, the narrative certainly has changed. That's all I got to say. And we
Absolutely.
just speak. Let's see. People want to know what the T-shirt says.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So Trina wanted to know the same thing.
Uh-huh.
So trying to understand some people is like trying to smell the color 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, can't do it.
And if you figured out what number 9 smells like, let us know, and
Absolutely.
we'll we'll just head on
Totally
down.
interested.
Yeah.
That was like you. It's so funny. We were talking about favor. I literally saw like an amber orange, beautiful color. I was like, how awesome is that? I think
Oh,
favor.
I'm convinced Tesla, if anything, that we're learning from him is that I think he saw colors in
Oh,
numbers.
yes,
Yeah.
I
And
definitely. So,
I it gets back to that question. I keep on asking. Someone wrote me a long email. I did one of the videos where I said, "Do spirits have sex?"
mhm,
And it gets right back to this whole thing in our perception of the afterlife. So do we just naturally assume we have 5 senses here in the book we're going to continue to read, which was a mind blower. Thank y'all for the emails. And
yeah,
I had literally I counted them 76
yeah,
plus requests for the book. It resonated with a lot of you people.
yeah. It's intense
Um,
information.
it is intense information.
Really is.
And it makes me, when you look at what's going on, it's like you have two different perspectives.
Yeah,
You have the ones that are banging the drums of fear and hyping the thing up. And then you have this other group who's going, well, it's humanity.
yeah,
It's what humanity does. But
yeah.
getting back to what we call reality here on the 5 senses,
Mhm.
do you think we carry those over with us?
Yes,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah. I think you have to integrate them, and they're a little bit different, and they're way more intense. But yes.
You know, Trina, when you said that, immediately what hit my consciousness was this. In many poltergeist investigations, they term, and it's one that humanity's used way back, foul spirit, a foul smell.
Mhm.
And it's indicative of a very nasty spirit. So
Yeah.
they're very well done. Just connecting the dots.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Think about it too. Why would people fear hell if you couldn't feel the torture?
I don't fear hell. I don't
But
believe
you
in
know
the
what I mean?
concept.
People, that's what they think they believe.
Oh,
So it's
oh,
like,
and they're going to find
yeah,
that reality. Yep.
absolutely. So it's like, we got to remember that this is the key element is what do you believe? What do you think? What are you going to allow into your consciousness? Because my God, it's going to show up.
And it's obvious the ancient ones, and I have been having some weird, it's very, the dreams are spatially altered. Um, when I used to take a lot of LSD in my youth, the one thing I really dug was the fact that it allowed me to exist in multiple realities while existing in this physical reality.
Yep.
And I learned to adjust to that very quickly. And it was always so far out to see the street literally weaving in and out with paisleys and many different colors. And so when I
Mhm.
look back now on that experience, what it did was open me up very early to the reality that reality is a mixed reality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very much. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
When I was little, I could see different realities, different layers.
that's a good term. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would go to these old campsites and stuff, and literally, you just sit under a tree, and I would just start looking around and let my eyes kind of relax, and I could literally start seeing different energies
hmm
living in different times on that same exact place where I was. It was weird. I started seeing that stuff when I was young. And
Ancient Aliens did a really good episode on shamans.
yes, and
And
that's what
did you
I
see
do.
that?
That's my healing work. That's what my talent is
Yeah.
I'm a shamanic healer. That's
So
what I do.
they showed in the records
Mhm.
that shamanism was before religion,
Yeah.
and that the way that the shaman were able to bring the sapiens and the gods, the higher intelligences, together was that the shaman had to ingest a substance that allowed, and I know what that feels like. I mean, in any of us, if you've ever done that, you know that there's two ways that you can take the experience. You can take the experience for what it is, but if you look at it for the spiritual side,
Hmm.
it will mend you to the spirit realm.
Hmm. You can do that though with breath, and you can do that with grounding and anchoring fulcrums. You can do that energetically. And man, you can get there really fast if you can just get into a resonance of gratitude and love. You're almost
And
instantly there.
yeah, but you know that that is difficult for people to achieve. It really is. It's
Yeah,
easily
it
said.
like you said, it's like a muscle. You got to practice. You know, you
You
got to
do.
learn to get into these, and you get into these vibrations through images. You know, so you have to learn to control and focus your thought, and literally start to generate these vibrations within your body. Nobody can do this for you. That's why healers. It's like we can help you, but we don't do the work. But we
Oh,
can
yeah.
set those vibrations and bring in the energy and hold those fulcrums strong so you can do the work. But like I said, that's the miracle. You guys are magicians.
We're
S-
going to learn more in the Gilmore of the Gods that, and it's interesting because I've been doing this since the 70s of in meditation, learning to breathe through the solar reflexes. And
Yes.
that is a different type of breathing, but that's how I was taught uh, how to
That's
meditate.
powerful. Well, yeah, Wayne, that I think that's the key. Everybody says, how do you start? I'm like, breath.
Breath. Yeah,
Start with breath.
yeah,
That's life. Life and
yeah,
breath are one. You're
yeah.
connecting to the river of life as soon as you start to connect with your breath. Yeah, breath.
Yeah.
It's
And
powerful.
it's powerful. I mean,
Powerful.
and for everyone that's out there, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's the what I call is the four step. You go, and as you see that, I see
Hmm.
I'm breathing in earth and I'm
Hmm.
giving earth back
Hmm.
my essence.
Yep.
And yeah, anyway.
That's what kind of so funny. What I see is I see like a clearing of the whole Torah field.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
in and it's rising
Mm.
and it's wrapping back down and going into the earth, and the earth is the filter and the skies are the filter, and it's like everything's going exactly where it needs to go because all that energy is valuable. It's just
Yeah.
to go where it serves its highest good.
Mm. You know, and it's someone I said I was watching some of the coverage on that, and I heard one individual say that he said that, well, this is not a problem about race. This is not a problem about violence. This is a problem about spiritual condition.
It's true.
And I said, and it's true. It is. I mean, um, it's just that there are a lot of different perceptions on what spirit is.
Yeah.
It gets me to thinking again, we could have a discourse with a dozen different people. And I read this article on Mark Zuckerberg, and the person that was talking to him was trying to explain to him what racism was. And the guy left completely frustrated because Zuckerberg just didn't get it.
Wow.
He could not emotionally attach to what racism was about. And, it got me to
I think
thinking
he's
then,
already been chipped. I think he's the
you
first.
think?
I do. I think he's the first
Maybe,
Neuralink guinea pig. I do.
maybe the neural link has been activated.
That's what
I
I'm
don't
telling
know.
you. It's like ever since he did that, like he's like
Yeah.
not normal no more. I'm like,
Like,
then he's all, well, when I was human, well, I am still human. Yeah, whatever, dude. No, I don't
no,
think so.
it's very obvious now for me. Lynn and I was talking about this, that not everybody you meet is not the same under the skin. I mean,
Yeah,
and we're talking,
yeah,
they ain't all souls.
no.
And I'm convinced that there are many among us who are not even of the same species.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's so funny. They got this whole new talk of the king, and you were talking about the
You
Sangreal,
know,
and
it's so interesting that you bring that up, my dear.
yeah,
Allow me, if I can,
yeah.
excuse me, I'll have to do it this way so we can then share it. So let me get that. So I read this and read it from the beginning. I read this, and my personal opinion is
Uh-huh.
I kind of laughed. I mean,
Mhm.
the reason why I laugh is that this is trying to blend in Judaism, Kabbalism, Islam, Christianity, satanic, as I'm reading this. And I said, you know, so this guy is the real deal. This is what are your thoughts on this? Tell me yours.
You know what I think? I think, you know, we're looking at the time. We've shifted from Pisces into Aquarius. Aquarius is supposed to be the Holy Spirit, the time of the Holy Spirit. Pisces was worship. That's why the churches collapsed, because now it's time to connect to the Holy Spirit. And that's an inner process. And this is what Jesus always taught, anyways. It's about going within, it's about the heart, yada, yada, yada. Same message, just people didn't get it. So, with this transition, we go into Revelation, Apocalypse, the Great Tribulation. Well, smack daddy, we're in it. We're in it. So if we're in this crazy volatile transitional time of a transition of ages, which we definitely are, you know, they always say, you know, after this transition, there's going to be the new religion, there's going to be the new second coming of Christ. Remember, I told you the second coming of
Mhm.
Christ is going to come through an awakening of humanity, learning how to utilize the Christ within them. So I see this as the manifestation of the second coming of Christ, the as above, so below. So this is a spiritual, and this is also going to manifest as a physical being taking over a new leadership rule upon this planet, because many humans are still going to need kings and stuff, Wayne. They just aren't ready to give it up.
I won't be one of them.
Yeah,
I
I
can
didn't
tell you
say
right now.
they're not ready to give it
No,
up. I won't either, because no way.
no. I'm
You know,
disqualified from that because let me just
yeah.
tell you, my feeling is I don't care what this thing is, this guy, it's a human being.
That's right. I
And
would love to work with you in unity and cooperation and love and manifesting beautiful, wonderful things upon this planet. But do not ask me to worship.
no, no. In fact, I
That's
just
not, you know, why would I? Yeah, I just know we're equal. Just like you said, he's a human being just like we are. And I don't care if they say they got special blood. I don't care.
we're reading a book that says, woe unto the human that believes these things, these bloodlines.
Uh
And it's
huh.
so interesting that this comes in. And I heard about this last week and I looked into it. And I'll tell you what really got me was when you go all the way back here to this is an interesting point. Let me pull this up so everyone can read this. Talking about reincarnation.
Uh-huh.
Um, they go and quote Hebrews and etc. And the debate here is that Paul, who was a pedophile reprobate here, and I'll
Uh-huh.
just show you what they say, is that Paul was a Sheol. There it is right there, the great deceiver.
Wow.
Resurrection was part of the Egyptian Heb Sod festival practiced by the pharaohs to reinvigorate their reign, whereby the priest would take the pharaoh into a drug induced near death experience to drift off and return with Maat. And we all know who Maat is. Maat is the king of the underworld. Ways to improve society. Inside the temple, the hieroglyphics above read, you have not departed dead, you have departed alive. Lancement is a French for initiation. Jesus pierced with a long lance means Jesus received a high initiation. Jesus was considered the highest initiate of the Egyptian mysteries. The chroniclers, Paul, were told the story of reincarnation then to write it as resurrection and apply it to Jesus, without including the Hibsid festival, the hieroglyphics, or Mayat ways of improving society. Christians believe in reincarnation as much as they do in resurrection. Resurrection means resuscitation. Paul, the great deceiver, the Sheol, was worse than we thought. The resurrection was a sublimation of the sins of the necrophiliac or necromancer. This is some heavy, heavy stuff about Paul. This would fit the baptism being joining Jesus at the moment of his death. And with Paul alluding to the Hibsid festival without clarification. And the Gentiles are slaves to the Jews. Christianity, the basic tenets of Christianity are contact the life force or Holy Spirit. Now, this is very interesting. I don't know which Bible that I had, and I have many of them.
That teach that.
Yeah. Contact the life force.
Right. Where? Show me. Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, get this one. Be a vegetarian like the Benedictines, the Cistercians, the English Carthusians, Grand Montes hermits, the austerity, etc., who realized being vegetation was the ideal of Christianity. Wash now and then. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Experience reincarnation or believe in it. The church renamed it resurrection.
Wow.
This is an odd term. Experience reincarnation, Trina.
Mm-hmm. You can through the shamanic journeys. You can do that. You can visit your past lives. You can do this. So yes.
Or believe in it. I mean, it seems like that,
Look how he stamps every page too with his thumbprint in blood.
Yeah, and that gets into a whole nother discussion there, but believing in resurrection is entirely optional. Not doing so comes with Paul's curses. Resurrection is Paul trying to be a necromancer. That means he was trying to be Solomon. He was trying to control the demons.
Yeah, and he was also summoning the dead. He was
thank you.
Master summoning of the dead. Yeah.
Like the power hunger, usurping, deceiving, epileptic, homosexual, necrophiliac, pederast, shrill that Paul was.
Wow.
I mean, can you get even? I mean, that's about the most if you're going to be insulted, I would say that this is a 10. I mean,
I mean, seriously, wow.
So this guy is obviously blowing away the whole tenets of Christianity. Christianity was never supposed to be an Asian religion.
Nope.
It's not Semitic, Arabic, or Oriental. Media now uses the biblical definition of Asian, meaning Semitic Arab.
Wow. This is mind-blowing.
I mean, you read this and here's something that really got me. Baptism, it's a tenet of Christianity. Paul says, those who are not baptized won't make it out. Baptism is joining Jesus at the moment of his death. Romans, this pedophiliac who likes to have sex with dead people, etc., a guy named the Apostle Paul wrote. He says, so many of us were baptized into Jesus Christ, were baptism into his death. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism into death, planted together in the likeness of his death, for he that is dead is freed from sin. The Bank of International Settlements and Royal Courts of Justice took this as a license to steal the baptized dead babies' equity and reverse their trust to be paid out when alive and paid out again when dead. Baptism is also killing the consciousness of Christ in the baby. While trying to resurrect Jesus's physical body, baptism is part of the doctrine of resurrection.
That is the most horrible thing I've heard in a long time about the trust. Wow. Again,
It's a heavy read. I mean, you know, and this deals all with contracts. Everything
yes.
going back to the Jews, how the Jews are, I couldn't say this on here because I think in some ways you need to read the document, but what are your thoughts? I mean, this is what the definition of Lord is. Lord is anointing by signs of serendipitous synchronicity, chosen, the one becoming the Messiah.
Hi, Lord Wayne.
How's that?
Well, hello, Lord Wayne. That was the appropriate title.
I mean,
that is awesome.
Lord is also the eldest son, leader of the band of brothers, leaves space for divine retribution, able to administer justice, does whatever is rightly required. The Gentile, moved by the life force, makes no effort for righteousness, but achieves it, has the law written in their hearts, sons of the living God, do not belong to God or government.
Bingo. That's my team. I'm going on the sons of the living God do not have any of the government. That's me. That's my team right there.
Deliver. There's another good one right here. Deliver shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob and expose the ignorance, wickedness, and sins and frauds of Israel. So all comprehend. This was completed in 2014. The deliverer is also the appellation of Jesus.
Wow.
What do you think?
I think that this is mind-blowing, and I think that these definitions are like, this is how people understand the difference between our language and legal language.
Yes.
There's a big difference between the two. And this is pointing it out to you what these things really said and how they were changed. And the truth of it is that, yeah, Paul and the whole,
they tear Paul a new anus.
Well, because yeah, this guy, apparently
I mean,
he might be the one who gets to usher in the Holy Spirit upon, that might be what his whole gig of being here is for. So this is going to be a bad thing though, because people are going to say this is one world government, which it could be. This
well,
could be the
it
greatest
reads
deception on earth, because remember, they said the deceiver will come and it will be so good, even God's chosen elect will be deceived. So like I said, discernment, y'all.
Well, he goes to the great lengths to strengthening the reality of his bloodline.
Yes.
And
the only thing that I can kind of give him that for, Wayne, is, he has to claim this title. He truly has to prove he's legitimate heir. Because if not, we'd all be going down next Tuesday. Hey, I'm king.
Apparently he has notified all the world leaders accordingly to what I've read. Yeah. He declares and certifies Declaration Joseph Gregory Hallett is the Messiah, Christ. I think it's the Mishkash, isn't that?
Do they define that in that book?
Yes, they do.
What is
it's defined. Well, we can actually look that up. And
I would
King
love
of
to know.
England
Yeah.
is the true, correct, as affirmed of January 26, 2020, and confirmed on 5th of March, 2020, rightfully signing the throne and crowned by his will and honor, stamp, wax, seal, embossed, and in wet ink as witnessed on the second side. I don't know. He really gets into, most of the people have not probably read the Magna Carta. They probably have forgotten exactly what how the structure of, as I learned, these are actually structures of demigods, but this whole thing of the Rosicrucian cosmology, and they bring in everything.
Yes, they do. The Knight Templars, all of
Oh
it.
yeah, so that
All of
means
it.
Baphomet is involved.
All of
Uh,
it. Yes, all of
yeah,
it.
I mean, here's his sword, the sword of the Duke of, what is that? Sanchin Coburg. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
There he is, right there, right? This is the dude, right?
Yep.
Now he is supposed to have a plan, because what we're seeing, if you, and this is what I got. What this is the Codicus, by the way. I thought that was really interesting. That apparently he's got plans.
Yeah, big plans.
I mean, what do you think? Here is again.
This is just so coincidental to me because I've been watching the Saint Germain stuff for about 20 years with the Nasara plan, the original
Mm-hmm.
Nasara, and I know that Clinton was forced to sign it.
Hmm.
So it was supposed to go into effect the same day that the Twin Towers got hit. So this
So,
is making me think that this might be very legitimate because
all
of
right.
the destruction that the pushback put forth on the day that this notification was supposed to go into place and they were going to enact Nasara, I guess. And so, yeah, so I'm wondering, if this is all coming together with the ones who actually can put a more positive, transition into place for our world. But, it's hard to know because, man, absolute power usually leads to absolute corruption every single time.
Well, here's his statement of claim in support of Joseph Gregory Hallett declares, and then Mashiach, is it Mashiach? Mashiach?
Mashiach, I think.
Yeah,
Mashiach.
it's Christ. It's the
Yes. I'm
Messiah.
like, and I could be wrong. Wait, I don't
Yeah.
know.
All have Masonic origins from around the Mediterranean. Messiah is the one whose early works are followed later. All three different cultures describe three different people, ultimately found in one man. As the want to fulfillment has lasted, these conclude when the crown meets the law, which is the end of time, during the tribulations, which is now, when Christ is invited to become the King of England. Christ is not a surname or merely an appellation, but a title, ultimately meaning joins time
And
and
kingdom.
joins kingdom. Yes.
That makes sense to me because when you activate the Christ within you, you are multidimensional and you are out of time. Bingo. Straight up.
Cool. According to the tradition received predictions, the man holding the title Christ, above all others holding the title Christ, is invited to become the King of England. Joseph Gregory Hallett has achieved these requirements and also holds the letter of invitation to become the King of England. One of the requirements of the Messiah, the Christ, is that no one will know who he is. So the media and alternative media have kept this very quiet. The establishment have also kept quiet on this, but have prepared the way through go nowhere chaos. This creates a need for the necessary order, otherwise known as a reign change.
Yeah, this
Addend-
is it. This is it. The change of the guards. I knew it.
Addendum 1 through 12 reveal the requirements of Hash Mashach, Christ Messiah, and know they have been fulfilled, thus confirming Joseph Gregory Hallett is the predicted King of England with the letters, patent, royal, prerogative, customary title. I don't know what that is. So it always shows how ignorant some of us lay people are. The letters, patent, royal, prerogative, customary title.
I bet it's a royal registry.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I bet it is.
And don't tell me that this God is not a legalistic bastard. I mean, because, everything is legal. Anyway, this
Yep.
has long been in the works for years, decades, century, millennia, and ultimately the long year,
Yes.
2147, 2/3 year. The great year is 12 long years. So for 25,772 years.
I could totally see that this being legitimate because we came here to take the planet back by good people, not bad people. So,
This is heavy,
and the only
heavy.
way, Wayne, they always told me, they said the only way you win this war is by the power of the word and the power of the pen. Riots, violence, wars will never fix this. You have to take legal action. This guy's taking legal action. This is big. This is huge.
So let's look at the requirement to be Christ, the Messiah, the King of England. Much of the information in these claims was first presented by interview with Dr. Jim Fetzer on 9 March 2019 and is also on www.kingof.uk as Mashiach. I know folks who speak Hebrew, so forgive me, and
Yeah.
Messiah, the Son of Man. Wait a minute. The Son of Man, Hallett. Huh. Well, now that's very interesting. That's an interesting term to
It is.
throw in there. This is I'm going to go back and read, this is interesting. This is a lot of legalese that So Joseph Gregory Hallett put out a challenge on the live radio show Matrix Rise and Shiners on 15th May 2019, allowing 45 days to the 30th of June 2019 for anyone to come forward with a better claim to the title Christ, and asked all Christians of the world to collate their definitions of Christ and see what Christ would look like and or what would define Christ. No one came forward, and the Christians of the world were unable to provide any physical definition of Christ to aid in their recognition or denial of Christ.
Yep.
Rather, President Donald Trump and Queen Elizabeth II acknowledged Joseph Gregory Hallett with two separate flyovers, 4 hours apart at 8:45 and 12:45 on the 3rd of June 2019. Both the American Air Force One and the British Royal Air Force dropped to 1,100 feet and half the speed over Joseph Gregory Hallett.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, the queen also announced that he was the main sovereign on her birthday.
So
Yep.
this is where he sent the notice out. The declaration went out to all of, well, the Pope, Archbishop, the Queen, Prime Minister of Israel, Prime Minister
United
of the
Kingdom.
UK, United
Yeah.
States President of Russia. So, okay, let's take a little break here. This is pretty interesting stuff.
It's to me, it's mind blowing. I mean, this is crazy. This is definitely I knew that the change would come through the pen, power of the pen. And man, this is it. This looks like this could be it. And then the reclaiming of the title of Christ. And guys, that's what it is. That seems accurate to me. It's a title. You gain a title through a certain achievement. So through his family line, they were deemed the Christ because they were actually able to become a son of man once again through these Christ abilities, which we all have. We all have it. So this is a beautiful thing. Not many people really activate that within their bodies. It's, the majority of people don't. So like this group, you guys are all special. You're different.
They told us that in school too.
Yeah, they're just an enlightened
Those
group
are the
here. So
special class.
we are. Because we're seekers of truth, and we know to get into the good stuff, you go in, and that's because, like I said, that's not the mass of the majority. But they're telling you to earn the title of Christ means you are Son of Man. The Son of Man means you can blend the dimensions and time And that is done when you get into these outer body experiences and planes of existence through your multidimensional self. You are that.
Yeah, and listen, I studied under a guy by the name of Hilton Sutton, and any of you guys can fact check me on this. And Hilton and I had a really close relationship, and he was a scholar, a theologian on the book of Revelation. And, so if we are in fact the cycle that started, and most people don't know when the tribulation period started, but it started September 17th, 2017.
With the eclipse,
With
right?
the eclipse.
Yep.
And it was a weird experience for those of us who were up there. It changed me. I caught some stuff that, I caught a portal opening up. I mean, it's on the archives. So we enjoyed 3.5 years of prosperity, relatively peace, but now the division has come.
Yep.
And if you follow the script, then what we're going to have is increasing riots, food shortages, pestilence, world leaders that are inept, unable to make a decision. And when they do make a decision, it's the wrong one. And it's going to lead into a world of chaos. Whereas I understand the platform is that then there will be a man who is basically unknown to the world up to this point that will have a plan that will, in fact, straighten all this out.
Yeah, and they do have a plan, and it is a very good plan. I've seen the plan. You've seen Nasara, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. It could be implemented. It definitely could work. Yeah,
But
this is mind-blowing to me. Did you know that ironically enough, Donald Trump's father's middle name is Christ and his mother's name is Mary?
listen, nothing surprises me. We have entered into a whole different reality. But the alien.
That's what I'm telling you. I'm looking at all the evidence, and it's like they kept saying, after the great tribulations, we would again walk with God. This is why this could be how this all comes into place, because I saw it was going to be legal action, and then through this legal action, people would start to look at everything differently, and that would cause an awakening. Because you know how like the quarantine brought everybody in. When this goes down, this one's going to be huge. For people's minds are going to be exploding. They're going to be like, reality, whoa, because this one's going to go after religion, Wayne.
So let's talk about this for a second, because it's very interesting to me that, you see, the reason why I don't believe in prophecy is that all it is a predetermined script, a program.
Totally.
So I want to know, who's the one writing the code? Who's writing the script?
I think you said right along, the ones who live in the axis that control our.
See, let me bring that book up, because
That's you, like, it's this alien thing. You're spot on. Then
see,
this
that's what I'm
Christ thing,
convinced of. Yeah.
the Christ thing. Remember, I told you that was a genetic gift he brought to the planet for us. It was a prize. We weren't supposed to get it. That they pissed off the gods real bad when he did that. That's what I saw. And it's not this guy that was 2,000 years ago. It was way before then. But then somehow it wasn't working. So they had to come in and do it again. This is what they showed me. They're like, we had to come in and do this a couple times through a couple different people. And the ones that we did this to, they were the ones that were like the Buddhas and the monks and, these enlightened, really smart people.
Sorry, that's an oxymoron in itself, Trina.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because they're not many.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, there's a few of them running around.
Yeah, going,
usually they got killed.
Okay, is that what we're saying? It's like, yikes.
We've been tinkered with, Wayne. For real.
Listen, I was meditating on that, and it just pisses me off to think. Excuse me a second. I'm hitting buttons here that share the screen, dude. So yesterday I read this reprogramming, and I love what it says. You are influenced by external elements. Your whole life is based upon a specific schedule. The alien gods have constructed outer factors to make the Homo sapiens being think less and serve more. Have you ever considered in how many, we talked about the square meters that we live in, Homo sapiens are incapable to escape from their jobs, bills, and personal problems. Homo sapiens being is a prisoner to his life.
Yep.
The alien is a conqueror of life. And I figured out, Trina, what an alien is.
It's us.
It is us.
Straight up. Yeah. That's what I told you. I saw them making us.
You get a high five, both shoulders,
I'm
and two
telling you, I
five.
saw that. I was like, what am I seeing? This can't be right.
Yes.
Oh, this can't be right. Yeah.
Disregard what you have been taught so far. Every single thing that you learned from any external factor is the Homo sapiens way of thinking and living.
That's right. Do you listen and worship to man, or do you listen and worship God? And that's within, and that is your own gnosis.
It is
that.
within. It is.
You got it. Trust that, because
So this is interesting, because there are going to be a lot who hear this and say, you people are crazy. You're saying you're alien? And we're saying,
no,
yeah.
it's a fact. It is a fact.
Is.
We are not organic to this planet. We
never fit in our whole life.
No, we actually are of the planet. We are made of the earth, but we have multiple strands of alien genetic codes in our DNA, which are multidimensional and not seen. People don't realize this is why the blood harvesting is so big, because it's not just third dimensional, it's 12 dimensional.
Yeah. So what do you think about this one here? This one's been hitting me really hard. Again, I've known this, and this is why I lay hands on my body every day. I speak over my body. He says, you are not supposed to have a lifespan of 70, 80 years. This model of aging serves the plan to recycle the Homo sapiens race. And this is why human beings are racist. We're racist.
Yes.
Did you get that, folks? RACES. Anyway, he says, remember the great Pharaoh lived more than 300 years. So we are conditioned.
Well, and look at Noah and Methuselah, 969 years. That's our more closer to our original template before we went through the whole Egypt thing and we got dumbed down again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they made us too bad in that part. And this is like, I'm talking thousands of years ago, Egypt, not recent Egypt that they talk about. This is way long time ago. What I saw was that the first EGGs that they created, man, they had no life force in them. They were so like dumbed down that they were like totally depressed and zombies, and most of them like killed themselves.
Hey, wait, do you know that there's a national shortage now in antidepressants?
I would imagine so.
There are, yeah.
Oh my God, I can totally see that. Wow.
I think of you when I hear this part. The Homo Deus species has the reprogramming procedure in its genes. From the early years of life, the alien has understood that he must re-identify himself away from the Homo sapiens standard. Do you remember when they said that it lies as well in the cellular memory?
Yes, I know that's true. Like I said, we have so much within your genetic, the codes within you. When you start to go into this code, that's how you get these memories of past lives. It's in these codes in your genetics, and you literally do have access to these. And this is how you do one of the means where you literally can time travel and astral travel. And yeah, it's through your own wisdom inside of your own cellular matrix. And so I said, your matrix of your body is its own matrix. You're in a matrix within a matrix within a matrix. You're 3 deep at least.
And now, the synchronicity we're seeing just on this show right here. So alien DNA.
Yep.
They say the true power lies in the DNA. There, the essence rests and waits to be transformed into higher energy through an actual use. However, Homo sapiens are too idle and unimaginative to make use of it. Many of our kind have also sunk into this void of uselessness. To comprehend the alien's DNA, one must study closely the matter of inheritance. Many of the so-called royal families around the world have claimed that they possessed advanced forms of DNA in their bodies and request to be treated like true queens and kings. Still, there is one big distraction. There are 2 types of bodies, and this is anyway, it gets into it as we discussed yesterday that this is what we talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause we're figuring it out, Wayne.
Yeah, we are.
Figuring
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. It's
And when I look at the way they talk about the conquerors, you got a spirit that could not be broken, even under your circumstances. Growing, you would not quit. You would not give up, dude. You're full on alien. You're not compliant. You're not subservient. You're not programmed. No, you've been going against that your whole life, always looking for something bigger, deeper, because you knew it existed. Something inside you knew. You
I
knew.
knew as a kid, when I
Yeah.
was getting those beatings, and I'd come back bloody with broken arm and
Yep.
what have you. But I can remember, and I was only 9 years old.
Hmm.
The last one was when I was 12, but um I can remember being in, the room was dark, but there was something else in the room with me. And
Yep.
um, I never thought about suicide, nothing like that. To me, I knew internally, even though I was a kid, um, that this was more or less a test.
Yeah. You're fighting to protect your
Yeah.
spirit.
By the
Hmm.
way, here's that point where it talks about proved by science, there's a trace memory of each cell. Everything in the universe leaves a trace on encryption that can be decoded. Hence is the genetic potentiality of the
Oh my
alien.
Wayne, I just heard that the deliverance of the Holy Spirit comes through the activation of the water within the cellular memory of the human species.
That would make sense, but that's one
Whoa.
we have to write down again. That makes a lot. Yeah, because water is where the vibration um,
Yes.
resonates.
And if you, oh, maybe that's why they say don't touch your future self because you get all the information from the water and it's cheating. Either that or it really messes stuff up.
It is cheating.
Or either they were really messing
Yeah.
stuff up because it could go both ways. But yeah, I'm getting some powerful information with this right now about this is how you guys do this. You start to activate through this frequency and the desire to get into the codes. Just the desire to get into the codes opens and unlocks the codes. Wow.
Yes.
And it
Yes.
transfers through the water. And the water comes from the different dimension and comes into the water here. It's like it touches it, when water touches. They're showing me that. 2 drops of water touch.
There is the essence of life.
Yes.
There is a lot. So let's get back to this guy with a king, because we'll pick up on this is so interesting because to me, these are almost intertwining. So do we begin to come out and call upon the ancient ones? Let me just take this down because I want to get your opinion on this, Trina. In fact, I may have to have you on another show specifically on this because
Yeah.
I've been meditating deeply
Hmm.
and actually going through the ritual.
Hmm.
Um, and it warns you. It tells the individual approach this with a great deal of caution,
Oh yeah.
because you're about to connect to something that is totally alien.
Uh-huh.
They warn specifically, as we'll be reading later on, that they do not have shapes that humans can even imagine.
Hmm.
And you must be prepared for this. Apparently, people have died
From the fear of the vision of it.
when
Yes.
the actual God begins to manifest.
Yep.
They
Yep.
Yeah, and it warns you that if you have cardiovascular issues,
Don't do it.
if you're prone to freakouts, anxiety attacks, etc.,
Hmm.
this is not for you. Go. But I think that there's also a reaching out. And in one way, I feel I've been preparing myself for this for a very long time.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
anyway, that is my intention. And when we read it, it's going to be interesting. I'd love to get your take on it because it's literally connecting to a higher intelligence. And I heard this in a dream that I have to be careful because here's the problem. I'm a 110 voltage, This
Yeah.
is 4 trillion volts.
Yep. And then once you're connected, you're always bound to that entity.
Yes, that is the other condition, that once connection is made.
It's sex. It's like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter when the waters touch, which is emotional, mental consciousness.
Yeah.
When the waters touch, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, and you have access to every single one of these beings within your own body because it's in the codes. It's in you. That's why you can connect to them.
And they say that once, if you are accepted, number one, you have to be accepted. But once the connection is made, there's no disconnecting it.
No.
It doesn't work that way. And
Yep.
and it's so true, because when we say
The only thing that scares me with this way, and I'm just going to tell you just because I love you, I worry about how we enter hidden contracts, because I know that you don't want to be in any contracts you aren't aware of. So
oh yeah, I mean,
yeah.
say what? Well, you didn't
you're
show me
saying,
that.
well, when you're saying you're going to be bonded to something, that's a contract.
It is, and that is the
So
term.
yeah, be careful with
there
this,
is a
there's a
connection.
contract here, and I'm like, my contract radar is like, man, this is what if you could connect your absolute higher self?
Well, it's something that we'll talk about. I think that, it's something I think the group could easily
Wouldn't that
discuss
work
as
the
well.
same way? Wouldn't it work the same way?
I don't know. They're very specific. I'll read the book, and as everyone, well, collectively, as we hear it read,
Holy shit,
let's
Wayne.
have you come back on.
I was like, holy shit, Wayne, you would be the Christ. You'd be like walking around like a glowing light.
Oh man, I don't want to. I'm just driving the bus. I'm just saying, hey, that's Disneyland over there,
Oh God, crap, Wayne, invoke his higher self. Oh God. Do we need protection because of light? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Just
the book, by the way, is The Gilmore of the Gods. Email me and I'll send it to you. It's a good fast read. It's about 68 pages, and yeah.
It's to me, it's resonating and sparking so much truth that a lot of people don't want to look at.
You ought to read some of the emails I was getting. One person said, and I kept hearing this as a theme, this resonates with me. This resonates.
Yeah. Like
what's going on here?
I've seen the aliens, and they were making soul. They were making these magical soul eggs. I don't know how to explain it. It was light. It was living light. I don't know how to explain it, but I saw it.
Brings me into another point. Is it, I guess here's the question. All things are possible, but I often think about consciousness, awareness. Is it finite in its beginning, but infinite in the latter? Not ending, the latter.
I think that's the power of the spark. And then when the spark hits the breath, it's like, it's constant. That's, I think, where you get the eternal part is from the breath.
The Jewish religion teaches, it's the hall of Guff, that where all the souls are at. And there's a finite number of them. And when the last soul leaves, that's the end for the human race.
Yeah. And I could see that being true because I saw them having control over that part.
They did a movie, by the way, on this. Demi Moore, and I forget the other guy, I think of his name, called The Seventh Son, where Demi is actually pregnant and she receives the last soul.
Yes, I saw that. The angels were trying to kill her.
Yeah, they were trying to. Yeah, and
when I was like, wow, the angels were trying to kill her. I was like, wow, that's kind of intense. So what would that mean?
I don't know, because if you could kill the soul before it was born, then it means that maybe it isn't the end of man, And by the way, that was where she did the scene in Variety, where she did the nude scene of being pregnant, by the way.
Yep.
Going back in time. Well, I think it was Variety, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
You're right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, she was beautiful, pregnant too, all naked. That was
pregnancy make women just glow anyway. But
that was so beautiful. I mean, a lot of people were like offended. I was like, that is
seventh seal. Is that what that's saying? The seventh seal.
It is. The seventh seal.
Thank you. Yep.
Yep, that's it.
Yep. Well, I
Yeah,
was
that's a
halfway
great
there.
movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
I'm gonna go and look at it again.
Lots of, I was gonna
because
say, there's lots of wisdom in that movie. I
yeah,
want to go look at that again too, because I
yeah.
have a feeling I missed a lot of what now I would see. So,
It's a question I keep asking myself. How long are they going to allow Homo sapiens to continue to multiply? I'm telling you, I just got this sense that something is, and if you see in my whiteboard,
I mean, I
so
think they've already done it because I'm pretty sure they've sterilized at least 70% of the children.
wow. Well, there you go.
The HPV shot, literally, it's
Yeah.
major problems now because the kids that got these 10 years ago are now trying to have kids and they're having problems at 18, 19, 20 years old in conception.
Yeah, the young
So
guys,
it's already been done.
swimmers are they're not even making it into the pool. I mean,
They
they're
mandatory vaxxed every single
yeah.
male child against
Jeez.
HPV in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
That's for female cervical cancer, and they gave it to the boys. This was a sterilization.
We never had that problem. When we had the standard, sexual diseases back in the day. You had gonorrhea and, primarily syphilis, and that was about it. But did
Yeah,
you
these
read,
are,
by the way, the invasion? I know this is completely off, but in Russia that they're being invaded by what they call hordes of ticks.
oh no.
Yeah, so there are portions in Russia where the average is 0.50 square meters to one tick. Today, the invasion, it's 5,000 per square meter.
Wow.
Like, oh, yeah, someone said the
Oh,
crabs. Yeah, yeah, that was true as well.
whoa,
Yeah.
that's a lot. I wonder what's going on with that.
They don't know where it came from, and many of these ticks carry Lyme disease, and
Yes, I was gonna say that's very dangerous.
oh,
That's not good at all.
sucks,
Wow.
but oh, this has just been so much fun, Trina. I
I
mean,
know. I like I said, you like tripped my trigger with that book, and now all this king stuff is going on. I'm like,
I
wait,
mean,
there's so much going on right now. It's blowing
oh,
my mind. Like
it's we're truly witnessing something.
we are seeing the
Yeah.
great shift of the ages from one to the other, and we are up front getting a front row seat. This is why it's so funny. I've been going through this life, and they're like, you don't understand. There are so many that wanted to be here right now. Because remember, I was like, oh, I'm not going, not
Mm-hmm.
interested. They're like, no, you said you would. I was like, oh, you know,
Not gonna happen.
this
Not
is
gonna
why.
happen.
This is why, because of this, what's happening right now. And it's going to be, we need to make this an amazing thing because if this guy could lead in a way that like you or I would lead and just want people to not be slaved, indoctrinated, poisoned human beings, somebody who actually like loved humanity, that would be a really good thing for the world.
Well, I'd like to take my personal case. I did a whole video on the birth certificate, and every time I got an attorney that became halfway interested, they dropped out
Yeah, they
because
had
it's
to.
very threatening.
I was
Because
gonna say they got the call.
yeah, because I want to sue on the basis of fraud.
I do too. I'm
Yeah,
with you. I
because my
mean,
parents were never competent enough to ever make a decision about me.
the bottom line is they didn't even, they had no disclosure on it. They were brought into it by fraud because to be entered into a contract, there has to be disclosure. There was no disclosure.
Yep, that's my whole point. And
Yeah.
my mother was not the brightest bulb in the pack. I can just tell
Mhm.
you. It's just
Well, like I said, Wayne, I'm not real stupid, but I did it to my kids because I had no idea.
yeah.
I didn't know. I had no idea
And
that
that's what I want to sue on because they're obviously extracting, and I can look back, because I'm at that age now where I can look back and I actually have a dollar value
Mhm. I
that
know.
it's
Me too.
like, you're gonna pay up, baby.
It's insane.
Oh, this is fun.
And
Trina.
my kids, my kids are worth a million more than me. They got
Yes, that's true.
inflation.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
inflation, I
the thing
swear.
is, I want to know, how do I want them to pay? And I've been thinking about this. I don't want their credits. I don't want their money. I've decided I want it in gold.
That's what most people would say, and I
Yeah.
think that might be if the Nasara comes into play. That's exactly what's going to happen. And it's going to be gold backed currency. So you can go turn it in for gold if you want.
You know, and as I just said that, I heard this voice and saying, yes, and Wayne, when that happens, the value of gold will go down. But I just
You
respond
know,
back.
it will. And the price
Yeah.
of gold is inflated right now. So it would balance back out to where it's supposed to be. That's exactly correct. And that's what would happen. And that's okay. Yeah. Gold
Well,
will.
when Nixon took us off the gold standard, and I think it was 72, 73, gold was trading right at about $32 an ounce.
Yep. Yep.
And now
Yeah,
it's
they
getting
do this
close to
all the time, but
2000.
it always goes back up in value. And gold is valuable regardless. It's valuable for jewelry, for electronics. I mean, we need gold for every piece of technology we run. So it's a valuable commodity regardless. They will never be able to destroy its value.
And
Ever.
this is why gold is so, why it always should be. So if you were 200 years ago in the West and you got a $20 gold piece, which was a $20 gold piece was about 2 ounces of gold, I think. Anyway, you could go into a clothier, buy yourself a nice suit, go out, have a nice steak dinner, a nice dinner, and get yourself a really nice place to stay.
Yeah.
Do you know if you had that same $20 gold piece today, you could do the exact same thing because the value, the inflation may have gone up, but guess what? The value of your gold piece is still going to,
Sure did.
yeah.
Absolutely. Because that thing's going to be worth what, $3,000-$4,000?
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
There's gold all around you out there where you live.
I know. This
It's
is
too damn hot.
yeah, it's a pretty crazy place. The superstitions are on fire right now too. They're on fire a lot.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. What's on fire?
Superstition Mountains.
Really?
Yeah, they're on fire a lot though. Yeah. Yep,
Well,
they are again now.
when the
2,500 acres, I think, a couple days ago, and I know it wasn't contained, but yeah, that one was caused by lightning.
yeah,
We've had a lot of rain. We got a lot of brush. The deserts are going to be going up.
and now you got a lot of heat.
Yeah. Oh boy, it kicked in like real fast. I was like, whoo!
It's like, where the hell do they turn that
Oh,
burner on from?
oh,
Boosh.
it is. It's hot.
Hello, Mary Winds. How are you doing? Good to
Hi,
see you.
Mary. Love you.
What is seen? Maybe pile? Is that what is that right? Yeah, I think that's what it says. Well, my dear, this has been fun. I always
Yeah.
have fun with you on.
Great content, man. That book is a ring-a-dinger. It's like,
Man, it's like,
whoa.
sheesh. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like,
We
oh,
gotta
look.
look at that, and then Wayne, we look at the Vatican too, and underneath the where they do their work, you saw that alien looking thing underneath the
Oh,
real thing they worship.
yeah.
That's an alien god.
I think, by the way, I think it is. I think it is exactly a bishop that's their representative because they wrote the religion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's their god. That's their true god. It's directly underneath, so you can't see it, but that's what they're really worshiping. Yeah, people say it's Satan and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, Satan's got a part of it because it's part of the worship with these alien gods. Many of them require blood sacrifice. So the one that they're working with is the one that requires blood sacrifice.
Did I tell you my joke about the Egyptian slave of Abraham?
No.
So Abraham goes up the mountain, takes Isaac up there. They're gone for a couple of days and they come back, and Abraham's really walking very tenderly. And he calls his chief manservant over and he says, well, I made a new deal with this new God. Servant says, well, okay, is it good? Oh, yeah, it's going to give us everything we want, give us the land of milk and honey. He's going to kill all our enemies for us. The slave is going, this is pretty good stuff, boss. What is there anything else? He says, well, actually, there is. He says, this God requires that you cut the tip of your penis off and you have to throw it into the fire.
Yep.
You know what the manservant said?
Okay.
Speak for yourself, white man.
All right on.
It's out of here. So anyway, the ritual involving blood, exactly, 7P. It's always our blood. Or
Yep. And that's because of our lineage.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we are our genetic code.
I have a theory I'll just throw out there for the conspiracists. I think what they're doing with this whole COVID thing, why they want to get samples from the population, they want to identify us.
That's what I think.
I think they're about saying, well, it's time we think about the big roundup.
Yeah, well, especially too if they're announcing a new royal bloodline.
Yeah, get
They're
that.
gonna want to know who's gonna have legal authority to it.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Miss Trina, you want to take us out?
Because I love you guys. What a ride we're on. And there's a very interesting association with this king too. The one of the queens in his bloodline, on her seal is the white rabbit. So follow the white rabbit, y'all.
Art
And it's the
imitating
symbol for
life,
the
or is it life?
adrenochrome. There's something with this white rabbit right now, the adrenochrome.
Yeah.
There's just a lot. So pay attention, follow the white rabbit, guys. There's something with this. So pay attention.
I smell a rat. All right, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Bye-bye.